And we're live. Actually live. I kicked off the titles and then realised I hadn't gone live. So I had to stop and then start again. This is all the stuff that's going on.
I retweeted us finally. I forget that I need to retweet us. So I did that. And now I'm going to turn my phone off, so hopefully the blockiness will leave a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And let's go to our first segment. Woohoo! I've got graphics, I've got transitions.
What were you up to this week? What were you up to this week?
So, what are you up to? Or what have you been up to, I suppose? I should make it a bit more. Actually, yeah, the graphic says what were you up to, and the thing at the top says what are you up to. So you can choose. What do you want?
What were or what are? What were or what are? Well, up to this week, I've been doing a lot of interviews. As you know, I'm looking for jobs, so I've been doing interviews. And I am specifically looking for remote. I have to be remote based on my son who is home and other things that I just have. That's a priority. I have to be remote. Yeah. So I've been doing that and also working on my own business and branding, rebranding myself a little bit, slowly, but surely, listening to a networking group and their lead who's an expert on branding and kind of doing that myself. So that's kind of where I've been this week. I've been doing some other things that are actually really, really hardcore that I don't make public in my personal life. You know, sometimes we're online and we're out in the public, but we don't make those hard things known necessarily. So I've been doing some of that as well. But it's all good. It's going good. So what have you been up to, Tim?
Well, I've not been making hardcore. That's sweet. Well, I've actually been quite busy with the whole self-PubCon thing, which was bigger than I thought it was, which was the online conference that the Alliance of Independent Authors, who I've suddenly seemed to become their Twitter ambassador now.
Oh, wow.
I have been their podcast ambassador in the past, but they know, like all great non-profits and other organizations, just give people exciting titles. And then that makes up for the lack of pay or anything.
Oh my gosh, you can choose your title. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're Oh No, Not a Live Show Supremo, Supremo coordinator, billionaire coordinator. That's your new title.
Wait, what is that? There is a, oh gosh, I can't even think of the company. There's a company that I love, and they have like happiness ambassadors or something. You could be like a happiness coordinator. Basically, their customer service is called like happiness coordinator or something like that. It's really fun. I love it.
Well, the funny thing is, like, we're going off topic, but that's always the show. Like, I remember when I was a manager in the IT world, and there were several like Indian developers we got out who came over from India, but they were working in London. And they were very, very into the whole job title thing. Like having the word senior developer, being a senior developer rather than being a developer was a big thing for them. Where most British and, most other developers didn't care less whether they were senior developer or not. I mean, the title junior developer nobody wanted, but just being a developer but being a senior developer meant a lot to people from India. I think it's very much like it goes into the whole culture thing of like hierarchies.
Yeah, it does. And unfortunately, like to get the higher up job, you have to have that title director, or at least sometimes here in the States, and to kind of progress.
Well, I think the US, like banking in the US, where they have vice president of garbage collection, whatever it is.
Wait. What are we? Let's give ourselves titles. What is your title for the show?
I'm excitement activity coordinator or something. No, that sounds like it's got to be senior director of the board in charge of live video streaming or something. Live streaming ambassador or something like that, you know. It's just some rubbish.
What is my title? I want to be senior
Communications.
Senior
Head of communications.
I want to be like senior joy promoter and director of communications or something.
Well, no, you can put it on LinkedIn. I mean, I've got my old podcast. I actually need to change my LinkedIn because I've got my old. I'm the host of the Self-Publishing podcast. I need to.
We actually need to know. You know what? We need to know this because for LinkedIn, this is very important.
Well, people search on job titles on LinkedIn, so yeah, you can be like the happiness president, happiness department or something.
I'm CEO. I'm the CEO of the happiness department over here.
Oh yeah, I can be the chairman of the live streaming thing. You can be the CEO. I'm paying for the StreamYard subscription, so it's
you do. You're director, producer. I'm just the smile.
You're the employee.
I'm the Smile Joy ambassador.
Anyway, back to the what I was up to. Yeah, how did I even get onto that topic?
I don't know because I'm really good at distracting. Oh, that should be my title. Senior
Chief distractor. Yeah. Distractor reactor. Yeah, what was I doing? Yeah, so I ended up co-hosting the start. Like we did. I sort of ended up doing a session despite not doing a session because Una, who was running it, wanted somebody else to talk through all the 100 tools they came up with in a bit of a hurry. I have to say, it was like, despite the well manicured exterior, they were kind of like, we need 100 tools. We said we need 100 tools to talk about.
Oh my gosh.
And I kind of like, there was lots of ones that, oh yeah, we did a good job of it in the end. And as I was saying to you in the pre-chat, I took out all of these video clips I was scheduled on Twitter to go during the Twitter chat. And then it's like Twitter's like, it fell foul with Twitter's media requirements for uploading files.
Yeah.
And none of them worked. So I was like a bit annoyed about that. But yeah, that's what I have been doing. And yeah, it feels like a lot of stuff, but the end result is I'm kind of exactly back where I was at the beginning. But then some weeks are like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Good deal. Good deal.
Shall we go on to another section?
What is our next segment, Tim?
Our next segment.
Our next segment.
Sexman. This is like, yeah, basement with sexman. It's hot recommendations.
Hot recommendations by Tim and Christelle, Chief Distractor and CEO of Production. What do you Oh, can I go first? Oh, I'm so.
Yes, you can go first.
I'm gonna go. You're going first, or I'm going first?
You can go first.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm obsessed with something. I am obsessed. I'm so obsessed that I'm trying to get my boyfriend to buy into my idea.
Okay, it's a llama farm.
It's not a llama farm. Have you yet discovered tiny houses?
No, but I've seen a similar concept. Is it these tiny little things like houses, doorways on little signs and things?
So it's not like a house like this. It's a tiny house. So you can actually, a lot of people will build their own tiny house and they kind of design it to the way they'd like for it to be. And there's tiny, like tree-size houses, all the way up, not so tiny, but pretty compared to a regular house. And they're all over the world. So I covered a show on YouTube that is based out of Australia, where this man goes around and people building their tiny house and shows why they designed it a certain way. But they really are kind of the rage here in America. There's tiny house villages, there's tiny house communities, there's people who just build tiny houses because houses are so expensive here in California. So I think the biggest thing here in California,
they're tiny as in not tiny. They're tiny just as in normal human tiny standards.
Yes.
So you were a bit Blockatron with the back now.
It's a tiny house that you live in. You actually live in the tiny house.
Well, that's virtually all houses in the UK. So,
we're all tiny.
yeah,
no, these
everything's a lot smaller in Europe than it is in the US.
Yeah. So they can be like 400 by 400 feet. So they're tiny. They can be, but they can expand a little bit, and you just get really creative with how you design them. Were you able to hear anything I just said? Based on
we got most of it. So
okay.
If you put the link in the comments,
I will later after the show. I can't turn my phone back on to find it again, but yeah, I will later in the show. It was so cool. So now I'm obsessed looking for tiny houses around the world.
The thing I was thinking, I think they're called it's really tiny, as in like about that high, kind of. In Cambridge in the UK, and I think I've seen them in other places as well. They have like these little, I think they're called dinky doors, something like that. And they're like, they put these tiny little doors up against things with like, and they have all sorts of weird kind of like figures and stuff. It's like this miniature all around, based around the city of Cambridge in the UK.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I thought that's what you were talking about, but they're not really houses as such. But they kind of had one with an alien outside it, and they're kind of, it's all kind of a little mini art project thing.
You go like on a treasure hunt and find these little doorways.
Well, I'm not in Cambridge, so.
Well, in Portland, when I lived in Portland, I started finding Portland, Oregon. I started noticing little horses around the city, and I was like, "What in the world? Why are these little horses all over the city?" And then I noticed they were usually attached to old horse. What are those horse rings that people used to attach their horses to? Rings in the ground. I don't know this thing.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what they're called.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, so I guess back when you would attach your horse to these rings. So I noticed someone had gone all over the city and put little toy horses, attached them to those little horse rings. And so eventually I looked it up, and it was an artist that had done this kind of as an artistic gesture.
Yeah, I mean, that sort of thing's me. I remember in the, we can actually talk about travel on our travel show. When from about like 2005 to 2010, me and Rachel traveled all over Europe, and we kept seeing these artistic like cow sculptures. So like, I remember in Barcelona, it was like this cow right in the middle of Barcelona, and apparently these cows were moving around like all around Europe, and we kept running into them. They were like one was spotted, they were like multiple colors and all the rest of it. So I think this idea of having like these random sculptures around cities is quite a trend in art circles, so to speak.
It's kind of fun. It's like a treasure hunt. I started really enjoying looking for those horses, and then I would take pictures of them, and I did a whole blog post. That blog doesn't exist anymore, but I did a whole blog post of the horses I found around town. Super fun.
Did the blog post have to be taken down because it's like the FBI looking for those horses?
Probably. But I love tiny things. So that's my hot recommendation.
Yeah, well, my hot recommendation, which I actually remembered because I bothered to save it. I do actually watch quite a lot of too many videos, but is The Great Vowel Shift and the History of Britain by this American guy called The History Guy. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his videos.
No, but I probably like
guy with a bow tie. He's quite big on YouTube. And I had heard of the Great Vowel Shift, but I had no idea what it was really. Apparently, in I think it was the late medieval period, the way that people pronounce particular words in the UK changed radically to the point where they say like Chaucer, who was like the 13th century, could not have understood Shakespeare, and vice versa, because of the way we pronounce vowels now is very different to what it was then. Really need to watch the video to understand what I'm saying. But
well, why? What did they say? What caused the evolution of?
Well, they don't really know. They think a lot of it was to do with the Black Death, apparently, in causing people to be much more mobile across the UK, and apparently there were loads of regional accents and things, and people pronounce things differently. And apparently, the spelling of some words was only really had been like some words that the spelling was already agreed beforehand, before this vowel shift. So that's why a lot of the English words that don't spell phonetically right are actually spelt the way they were.
Yeah.
It was pronounced.
Yeah.
But we now pronounce it differently because of this, the way, like it's something like the AUs and lots of like vowel combinations, but all changed like their pronunciation in this period. And it was like nobody really knows exactly why it happened. But English in the 13th century was pronounced radically different to like the 16th or the 15th century.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. Well, England still spells certain words what I would consider like Old English. Things like colorful, or you guys say COLOUR for color, right?
Yeah, well, this is a bit more than that. I mean, that's actually caused by the guy who wrote Webster's Dictionary in the US. Decided he was going to correct like the words to spell them better. So American English is actually an effort to try and spell words back to how they're pronounced. And color, apparently he had all sorts of other, he had a whole set of extra words he was going to change the meaning of. And he never got around to it. I think he died or something before he could do it.
But I like how you still spell certain words. It's very poetic to me. It reminds me of Old English. And I know it's not quite the same, but it reminds me of Old English and that old style of writing. It's very romantic. It's like a romantic way of writing. And if you're into literature, I just love it. Well, that's fascinating. I kind of want to watch that.
Remind me to put it in the list on the website, which I have not got a QR code for at the moment. I don't think. Have I somewhere? No, I haven't. Oh, that's tough. Right. I've replaced the quiz with a different section, which I suddenly realised I needed to look something up. So here we go. Travel top 10s.
Travel top 10. Mostly with Tim, because he's traveled more than I have.
Well, actually, this section, which I've just made up last week, involves me just sharing a Chrome tab with a search of the largest hotels in the world.
Not the tiniest. Next week, we're going to do the tiniest hotels.
Well, I think you could struggle with finding the tiniest, can you? Because it's like a hotel with just one person in it.
Tiniest hotel.
Loads of them. I think it'd be many. So the biggest hotel in the world. I wish we could get rid of this menu.
In Malaysia.
Yeah, which I've never. Oh, that's interesting. You can go over and see a picture of it.
Oh, wow. Interesting. It's very colorful.
Yeah. And then the Venetian in.
Okay.
Has it got a picture?
Have I been to the Venetian? I've stood outside the Venetian. Is the Venetian the one that has the water fountain display? The water.
The fountain one's it. That's coming later. That's a Bellagio.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
Venetian's the one with the canal in the middle of it.
Actually, I haven't been to that one. Have you been to that one?
Yeah, I've been to that one. Well, I've not actually stayed in that one.
Yeah.
I've been to it and we're like eating in it and the rest of it and gone on the shopping center on
it.
Yeah. But I've never actually. I've been to the Venetian in Macau though, which at the time allegedly somebody said was the biggest hotel in the world. Actually, I think it's the biggest casino in the world. It's not the biggest hotel. It's not even on this list because they expanded this Venetian, adding the Palazzo, and made it bigger than the other one in Macau. So then the MGM. MGM Grand.
Okay.
Which I've been to as well. I've actually stayed in the MGM Grand.
I've been to the Grand. I haven't stayed in it.
Ooh, they haven't. I don't think they got rid of the two rather tired-looking lions that were there in the
Oh, I'm sure they have. I'm sure they have, especially at the accident.
City centers. It's a bit of a Las Vegas theme to this.
Yeah, I know. But they do like it to be bigger and better and try to kind of replicate things.
Yeah, the city center one is actually it's like a new. Oh, Yeah, it's kind of cheating here. They got all 4 hotels.
Yeah.
Then then one in Macau. Macau is like the most ridiculously over the top place. If you have,
What is Macau? Where is that?
it's opposite Hong Kong. It's a former Portuguese colony that
Okay.
came independent, but
Okay.
at the same time as Hong Kong. But it's basically the world's biggest gambling place. It's like I think it's about twice as much gambling goes on as Las Vegas now. It's
Oh,
ridiculous.
wow. Have you been there?
Yeah, I've been there, and it's if you imagine Las Vegas from the 1950s with all the sleaze and everything, but with over-the-top hotels and lots of Chinese people because they all come over. They basically have massive. Like Monday morning, the entire Macau fills up with Chinese people who come over from the border and gamble because they can't gamble in China, but they can in Macau.
I got it. And it's close, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up is Saudi Arabia. I'm not surprised, I don't think.
Yeah. This is obviously Mecca is.
Okay.
So this is where everybody's staying for the
Mecca.
high club staying for Mecca.
Oh, interesting. That's fascinating. Okay.
And is Malov 4-building hotel?
Moscow. Have you been to Russia, Tim?
No, I haven't. Someone want to go, but I was always a little bit put off in the past, thinking, oh, it's like all dangerous and everything. But now I think I've got over that level of paranoia.
Yeah. Is it dangerous or not? Do we know?
Well, anywhere's dangerous if you don't know anybody and don't do your research.
Yeah.
I mean, I would rather go. I really want to go to St. Petersburg rather than Moscow per se, but I wouldn't mind going to Moscow.
Okay.
The Wynn Hotel back to Las Vegas. I have stayed in that. I stayed in that for my 40th birthday, actually.
Oh, wow.
Been to Vegas 3 times. What was it for?
Okay. So you went there for your 40th. I remember you telling me that. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't been back since. Another one in oh yes, this is in Sochi, which is places does not exist. Okay. Is the Winter Olympics when they had it, so they built an enormous hotel. Sochi's on the Black Sea coast of Russia, I think. On the south.
Okay.
And well, this is more than top 10 actually.
Well, Las Vegas really has the hold on all these. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have stayed at Mandalay Bay. Beautiful.
Well, I've stayed in the Luxor.
The Luxor.
Luxor's got weird escalators that go up at an angle called inclinators.
Interesting. Now, did you explore the food of Las Vegas at all? You know, I'm all about the food. Did you explore any of the places that are known for like top chefs and that kind of thing?
No. I think I went to some of the buffets. I haven't been to restaurants in Las Vegas.
Okay.
They're like kind of signature ones with the top chefs or whatever.
Signature chefs. I know. I'm obsessed. I admit it. Caesar's Palace, Excalibur. Man, Las Vegas really has the handle on large hotels.
I mean, yeah. And Sheraton. I suppose the Macau one's on bigger in it. Then this is the Bellagio. That's the one with the fountain outside.
The fountains. Yeah.
Ooh, one in Hawaii.
Okay. Hilton in Hawaii. Oh, I can't quite see the top. Can I see the Circus? Circus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hawaii. Beautiful. Have you been to Hawaii, Tim?
No. I ideally I would successfully visit all 50 states and Hawaii with the 50th one for my 50th birthday.
Oh.
That's a poetry in it. Even though actually in some ways Hawaii would be quite easy to visit on the way to or from Australia or New Zealand.
Now, do you have friends in Hawaii?
No.
Okay.
But Hawaii isn't one I actually worry about visiting. People are like, oh, you have to get to Hawaii. But they're thinking from a US mainland perspective. For me, Hawaii's no different really in a way going to like the west coast of the US.
Exactly. I was going to say, when you live on the West Coast, I take that back. There's a lot of friends that love to go to Hawaii here. But I have other places I'd rather go to just because I do live in San Diego. And it's tropical here. So, yeah. Okay, so where are we? Japan.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many hotels on this list actually. I should have got one. I did have a top 10 list, but it was very out of date. It was like 2015. They had this top 10 list. So Flamingo, she's always been a bit of a dump as long as I can. I think I actually went there for something.
I mean, that reminds me of old Las Vegas, the Flamingo.
Atlantis Paradise Island. There's one almost identical to this in Dubai I went to, but
oh, that's pretty. That's really pretty.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the Mirage. Well, let's go over all the skip over the Las Vegas ones. Oh, this is the one I stayed in. So I stayed in the Venetian in Macau.
Okay.
The Gaylord Opryland Resort. Oh, okay. I think this is near the old Grand Old.
Oh, that's interesting. That's pretty. Look how green it is. Wow, they really built that up. It's owned by. Who's it owned by? Can you go back there?
It's owned by Ryman Hospitality.
Marriott. Okay. Wow.
It's like one of his. Oh, that's. Oh, okay. So this is Disney.
Florida, right? Is that in Florida? It must be Florida. Okay.
Atlanta City. Well, anyway, we're not the. This is the top 10 section. We've gone way over top 10.
Most likely, I won't be staying at any of these ever. But this was a fun list. Really fun. That's cool.
Oh, well, I mean, one of the things about Las Vegas is that you can actually stay in nicer hotels there because everything is subsidized by the casino and the conferences. So actually, now you could probably. I reckon you could probably go to Las Vegas fairly cheaply. I'm not sure. And
year round, really. Year round. I can fly there. It's less than an hour flight for me. I can go literally up, down. I'm already there. I can find an inexpensive hotel. Always, always. Not that I haven't been to Vegas since one of my really good friends got married. We did her bachelorette there. But I would consider a mini trip there to meet my boys, probably just to kind of have a place to go meet because they're moving, they moved to Washington. So
yeah,
that might be a good place.
Yeah. I mean, Vegas is brilliant if you don't gamble and you don't necessarily. Well, actually, if you don't gamble, it's a brilliant place because it's like everything subsidized by the casino.
There's so many places just to walk around and it's kind of like an adult, what do you call it?
Pleasure
park, like a Disneyland for adults kind of. You can walk around, look at the Venetian, look at the water fountains. That's kind of fun. Gives you something to do for inexpensive. So yeah. And it's supposed to be good food, which I still have yet to try. But anyways,
well, I got rid of the quiz section. I mean, I think I still got a quiz somewhere. But it's not travel related, so we've got the serious bit.
The serious bit, Tim. What is serious going on? What serious things okay, so I haven't been watching the news. I don't have any clue what's happening in my country, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't really want to know this week what's happening in my country.
Do you want me to tell you what's happening in your country?
There's something I should be aware of.
I think there's an election or something going on.
Yeah. Is there something? I heard.
Yeah, I mean it's.
Which, by the way, I already voted. It's over for me. We're good.
I mean, it's interesting to me because I remember we had a similar thing to what you guys. Not identical. It's always difficult with historical things.
Yeah.
In 1992, John Major won an election in the UK when nobody was expecting him to because of the opinion polls.
Okay.
And everybody was surprised by that. And I remember in the 97 election, even though Tony Blair had like 15-point lead in the election, everybody was like, oh no, it's not sure that he's going to win, sort of thing. And he ended up winning a huge majority.
Okay.
So there are similarities in my mind to that, in that everybody's all like, oh no, well, Trump wasn't ahead in the polls in the last one, and he wasn't that far behind in the last election. But of course, it's like I can understand why everybody's like, oh no, we don't believe the polls. Yeah. And there's already conservative commentators on YouTube saying, oh yeah, the polls all wrong, and it's like Trump's going to win another term and the rest of it. And it's like, well, I'm not sure. Because I mean, I think the trouble is that people always assume that everything stays static, and so my feeling, which will probably be totally misproved in 3 weeks' time, is that Trump's going to lose, and Democrats will probably win everything. So, well, they're not going to win like the lottery, but in terms of the election.
Is that a prophetic word? I'm holding you to it.
Well, I mean, it's like with anything in life. I mean, you can make predictions about things, and I think we should make predictions. I mean, I could be totally wrong.
Yeah.
But my feeling is that because there was an awful lot of people I met in the US who were like, they voted for Trump because they didn't like Hillary Clinton. She had quite a lot of sleaze associated with her. A lot of them were sexist as well. I mean, there's always an element of these things that people don't say. And despite the fact that Joe Biden is not the most exciting candidate in the world, he hasn't got any of the like repulsing things that like Hillary Clinton did. And despite like the best efforts of them to try and implicate Biden's son in all sorts of weird things in Ukraine, which he probably was involved with, but it's like that's not sticking. It's like it's not like the Coney, all the Coney stuff was all stuck to Hillary Clinton last time.
And how do you, I mean, we're not voting for his son, we're voting for him. If everyone who had issues with his son sat back and thought about whether they would want to be implicated for what their children do, that's not fair. I mean, that's putting a lot of shame on in a place that you shouldn't. And that's not fair to your children. It's not fair to anything. I mean, I know so many people whose children could have taken them out of all kinds of situations. And that's just not, and the parents are always going to support their children. Yeah. As a parent, that's what we should do. Whatever happened. I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's ironic coming from like people on the other side where there's so much corruption on that side.
Absolutely. But I know people even in my personal life who had prominent positions and their children could have taken them out of those prominent positions based on things they did. They thoroughly supported their children. And those are the very people that would be talking about this whole situation with Biden. And I'm like, I mean, we have to step out of ourselves at some point and just say, look, any parent is going to support their child no matter what. Who we vote for shouldn't be based on what our children did. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think
I don't even know. I haven't been following the story, to be honest. I don't even know.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I've only seen like, I think it was all implying something to do with when his son was on the board of some company in Ukraine, and he basically said like, well, I can introduce you to my father, who's the vice president or whatever.
I mean, I think it's a great scapegoat for people who have things to hide, is the bottom line. So if we can point to something drastic and drama, everyone can look here rather than just keeping the focus on what the politics should be, what the actual issues are.
Yeah, right? Well, of course, next week when a video comes out of Biden shagging a monkey or something, then so that might change everything. But until, in fact, it's probably more likely Trump will get a video. But that's
okay. Well, let's talk. Okay, I have a serious bit because this boggles my mind. There's a picture going around the media with Biden hugging his son or kissing his son, like embracing him, giving him a side cheek. Here's what's baffling to me. There are many, many pictures of the opposing party doing far worse with his children. So why is this even an issue again? Why are we even talking about this picture? It boggles my mind. This makes no sense. And why are we being such hypocrites about this?
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, like, so much of this is so much of online, and I mean, it's always been the case that everything's been manipulated by, and it's not like I'm not in the whole conspiracy series. It's alien people in Davos coming along, going, pulling the strings, but there are a lot of people trying for particular parties, particular groups to influence the mainstream opinion, let's say, not even saying the mainstream media, because that's not even necessarily as true as it was. I mean, it's like in the UK, there was a report by Amnesty International about 2 weeks ago into investigating like the situation with COVID with the care homes and basically saying it was a massive scandal. It's not been reported hardly at all on the British mainstream media. And there's lots of peculiar stuff that's not being talked about. Now, I don't actually think there's any great conspiracy, but I think there is a disconnect between some people in the UK, certainly in like more the London, well, given I'm in London, but more like I would sort of say the more elite group as opposed to what's actually happening in the country as a whole. And that has been shown by COVID to be a big problem because it's kind of like, I mean, I look on my Facebook feed and there's people like real distress because of all the lockdowns and all the restrictions, which are a lot stricter in the UK. They're more strictly maintained in the UK than they are in the US.
Yeah, I've noticed. Yeah.
So it's like the rule of like you can't have gatherings of more than 6 people. And where we are in London now, we're not supposed to have any interaction with other groups of people from outside our household indoors because we're at tier 2.
Okay.
So I can't meet somebody in a pub in London.
Oh, okay.
Outside, I can go into a pub on my own inside. I can meet people outside in a pub. And then they've got tier 3, which is now affecting places in the north of England, like Manchester and Sheffield, where you can't even do that. You can't even meet people outside.
Okay.
And the severe mental illness, mental toll that's being caused on people. I mean, I saw somebody's like several suicidal and other people just posting about it on Facebook. People who can't take it anymore. And really, it's got to the level where it's like, well, the death toll is not especially large for younger people at the very least. And it's like they've got to be a better way than just continuously having like mini lockdowns all over the place. And it's, so
mental health is
it's like a Pandora's box of conversations, isn't it?
It really is. Mental health is such a critical issue to discuss. It really is. And we are created for community. So we're created for community, but we also need to keep each other safe. So what that means. Okay, I want to bring up another topic because I saw this going around the media, and it's specifically about the UK. Apparently, I'm not quite sure what I was reading here, so you can explain it to me. But apparently, there's a story out that that your famous people can't promote the feeding of children or something. Can you explain what I saw about that?
I've no idea what you're talking about.
Your celebrities. Okay, what is this? I'm gonna have to turn my phone on because this is new with your country. Let me turn my phone on for this. And it's kind of it's big in the media right now in the UK.
Free school meals thing, or
just a second, I'm gonna pull it up. I had my phone off, so now I have to pull it up here.
Well, it's possible I'm just massively out of touch, which happens quite a lot more than you think.
Okay, well, no, I'm probably explaining it wrong. So let me pull it up. Wait a second. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find the story. Give me 1 second, because this is a big story in the UK to do with. Okay, wait a second. I'm getting there. Thank you for
Christelle 2. Loading.
Loading. We are still loading. 1 second. I'm getting there. I know we're going quiet. You can keep talking if you want.
Well, I'm just now taking the time to look at the BBC website to see if I missed anything. I mean, it's kind of my BBC's like my but there's a lot of stuff that's missing on the BBC lately. So it's interesting. And also, I've got this. I am going slightly conspiracy theory thing that I think they're fiddling the UK COVID stats.
Why do you think that?
Well, the way the headline number they print for number of cases is just the number of cases that come that particular reported on a particular day, right?
Yeah.
So what seems to be, I mean, this is tinfoil hat thing, but as soon as the 7-day average starts falling down, they seem to have a massive number. They report a massive number of cases on one day, but they're actually cases from like the last week. And I know there are delays in testing, so I mean that's part of the explanation. But what it has the effect of making the graph on the first page look really much steeper than it is, because they kept like cases from the past and pushed them into the future.
I don't know what anyone's doing with these. Okay, I found the story. Apparently, the children's minister voted against free school meals for children.
Yeah.
Okay, and
well, it's. I mean, what actually? It's not really free school meals. It's vouchers for children in the holiday period who had free school meals. I think that's what it.
So one of the stories is they're trying to silence one of your famous people. I think he's a footballer, Marcus Rashford, who brings attention to feeding children around your nation, and that's kind of the story.
Well, I mean, I've not done a very good job of silencing him. Trying to silence him. No, I mean he's well known as he's been. I think that's just whatever the journalistic source you're looking at is. But
okay, so he's advocating for free meals for children, and apparently the children's minister voted against that. What is that all about?
Well, so from people on particular low income, their children get free meals in schools. I think everybody used to get free school meals. I think it became like only like people. Well, when they had the lockdown, there was a big thing that Marcus Rashford thing, because kids were at home. They obviously weren't getting the free school meal they would have got at school because they were at home. So what I believe, and again, I've not been following that story particularly well, is that they wanted to extend that scheme that they had for children who were at home, to give them like a £15 voucher so that they made sure they were still fed, sort of thing, as if they were at school. Now, I think the government's argument is that there's already welfare programs that the parents of these people would have for feeding their children. So they don't need like these £15 vouchers anymore. And there's also the fact that the British government is in real financial difficulty. Well, I mean, the US government probably is as well. But, I mean, we've been spending money left, right, centre, all over the place. So I suspect that's one of the real reasons why they don't want to give the vouchers to the kids, is because they're worried we'll be even more of a mess than we are financially. I mean, we seem to have managed to have both the worst death statistics per head almost around anywhere, apart from a few places like Belgium, and also the biggest economic loss and the biggest debt. So we've basically screwed up COVID in every single possible way possible. I mean, the funny thing about me for the whole school meal thing is it's a bit like an argument about the covers of the seats on the Titanic. It's like, well, they're bigger issues than school meals. But that's been the whole media's been obsessed with it the last couple of days.
I think the people who are advocating for the feeding of children, they're seeing it as children could go hungry, and that's.
Well, it's not. I mean, that's just an emotional representation of the issue. It's actually that, like, they think that their parents aren't going to spend the money on food or rather on other stuff from their like benefits or whatever.
Okay, so they think the vouchers are going to be spent elsewhere. Is that what the?
Well, no, the vouchers can't be. I mean, that's the idea of having like vouchers instead. But I mean, this is the whole thing. It's like they wouldn't have got free meals normally in the holidays. But because people were like the kids weren't in school, that's why they had to give them vouchers.
We have something in here. Do you have programs like we have? I'm sure you do. We have something called like Feeding America. Their whole focus is on feeding.
Actually, there was a video I almost recommended, but the great vowel shift came up when they were talking about the government cheese in the US, which one of the great arguments against the EU was all the food mountains, but they seem to be lowered down now. But apparently the US, Jimmy Carter, one of the few things he did, which more negative than positive, but he said that he would keep the price of dairy high in the US, similar way to what the EU does. But rather than buying loads of milk, because milk is hard to store and it's a pain, the US government has been buying loads of cheese since like the 1970s to keep the price of milk high, artificially high, to support American milk farmers. But then they had, like, the trouble was, by the time it got to Ronald Reagan, you had massive warehouses full of cheese. You were like, what the hell are we going to do with all this cheese? So Ronald Reagan had the idea of, like, people on like food stamps and like think they gave them blocks of cheddar or cheese from the stores. And I thought this was like a historical thing, but apparently it's still going on. The US government is still buying cheese and then giving it, like, feeding it through to kind of voluntary groups. And
well, this is really interesting because when you get on WIC and you get food vouchers, the thing that you mostly get is milk and dairy, like milk and cheese. Like there's an of why.
So this is, I mean, this is the thing, though. I mean, lots of these government programs they've got other agendas to what you think, like, because like Ronald Reagan had the great idea. It's like, well, we're not going to spend all this, like, because we had like whole warehouses full of cheese. I mean, the EU does it even worse, but the EU apparently, and I'm not sure what the current situation is with the EU, EU dumps a lot of it very cheap on the global market. I mean, there's lots of this. I mean, this is what all this people going on about complaining about capitalism. A lot of the problems with capitalism are caused by governments interfering with capitalism. There's all the thing about the wine lake and the cheese mountain and things in the EU because they artificially raise the price of all these foodstuffs.
This is really interesting, and this is worth actually really, really looking into. And here's the irony is that I think things have changed. I mean, I'm not really familiar with the WIC program now. I knew it very well when my kids were little. But the irony is dairy isn't necessarily the most healthy thing for you versus like vegetables and fruit. Like I can't eat dairy. It's not good for me. If I eat dairy, it affects my entire ear, nose, throat.
Yeah, I've cut out. I've been cutting out dairy lately because it just doesn't really agree with my stomach.
No, and which tells you something. And then the way we process it isn't good. Yeah. I know that when I went plant-based, my body feels 100 times better. It feels healthy. My skin is clear, and there's just so many benefits. I didn't know that. I didn't know back in the in my early 20s and 20s that dairy this is kind of just my own testing of dairy and how it makes me feel. So I don't know.
I mean, with me, I haven't cut out dairy completely, but I have, if I do have dairy, I have like the lactose-free one. When actually lactose-free isn't true, as I discovered when I looked it up. Lactose-free means they put in lactase, which is the enzyme that breaks down lactose.
Yeah.
Because apparently, and I think I am lactose intolerant at least a little bit, because I mean I seem to be all right with lactose-free milk.
Okay.
But yeah, it's interesting because lactose, which is a thing that a lot of people are sensitive to in milk, is your body can't break it down, but they add lactase, which is another enzyme that breaks down the lactose in the milk that you've got. And then you've just got the sugar, which is what is in product. So that's not very good in itself. So
really not, when you really investigate milk, it's really not healthy for you. Have you tried any of the alternatives?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got almond milk, I sound like a bloody hipster now. I've got almond milk.
You are. You know, I tried.
I've been drinking like a nut almond milkshake. That's what.
Oh, a nut shake. Oh, holy moly! I actually really liked oat. Is it oat milk?
Yeah,
I got oat milk latte, I think it is, and it was really, really good. I liked how rich it sounded. Christelle, Christelle's merchandise show. Oh, I'm saying show.
This is a great problem with the having the segments. In that, I could always have this in the serious bit, and then I could have it up the top as the serious bit. But you can't in StreamYard. You can't mix and match. So I can't have like a bit at the top saying the serious bit and a bit down here.
I have one new merchandise, I believe, and it's a bracelet that I have now that says the word love on it.
Ooh.
So it's pretty, and it's in my shop. So a love bracelet is in my store. What do you have in your store? Too, buddy.
I've got a mug from Rob Ballas. You would have done probably if you turned up to the interview.
I was taking my son to the airport.
I don't even watch a replay.
How would you? You can tell. You can tell. No, I plan to watch the replay because it's really good information for you, which I do not understand. I'm learning. I'm slowly but surely learning. And some of the tips I've learned have actually worked, and it was shocking to me. So I've gotten more by practicing some of the tips. Okay, let's see what's in your.
That's the Tube Buddy one.
Hi, Tube Buddy. You just got.
Well, Tube Buddy's affiliate is one of the best ones around, actually.
Is it?
If you're going to be like promoting a thing, you should promote Tube Buddy. Yeah, I haven't. I've got my phone.
Recommendation.
I did have a section actually in this for show books recommended on this show.
Amazon products. You know what? I never got in the mail. I ordered my light. Remember, I broke my light, my circle light. Yeah. I ordered another one, a tall one. It still hasn't come in. I'm gonna have to check Amazon for that. It should have been here by now.
Ooh. Right, scan my. It's trying to scan your face. QR code. Remind myself of my own store. It's not. It's taking forever.
Oh, it's not working. Is it working? Here, I'll try it. Is my phone off? It's not. Let me try it.
My internet's just quite slow. It's not much, but I do apologise for people watching the replay. Yeah, so the top section actually is "Oh No, Not Another Live Show" recommendations, and I put all the books that we recommended. Well, we've stopped recommending.
You. Oh, look at you! Oh, you have Utopia for Realists. You have Fall to Grace by one of our guests that were on the show. Untamed. I love that book. Everyone should read that book.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try and read some of your books because I've got an Audible subscription, which I've stopped listening to, but I should do because you can get two. I think you get probably due a couple of credits on that.
I think you might be intrigued by Utopia for Realists, and then also the other one, Humankind.
Yeah, you should read Trust Me, I'm Lying, though. That's a good book too. That's very interesting about the media.
Read what? Is it on here?
Yeah, Trust Me, I'm Lying. That's the one from Ryan Holiday.
You should put the one that Jeremy suggested too, just because I want to be reminded to read it. What was it called? Something about debt. What was it called?
Oh yeah, I think it's called Debt, isn't it?
Isn't it called? It's called.
Few people have recommended that book to me. I kind of feel like it's sort of one I want to agree with. I should probably read it because I want to agree with it.
Yeah, I want to read it. I'm fascinated by.
I have put a lot of my self-help book ones, some of which I should probably recommend on the show. Fast Food Nation. I don't know what's that's in my self-help section, but that's a very interesting book.
Mm-hmm.
Most of Tim Ferriss's ones are good. I tell you, I used to read so many books.
Mm-hmm.
I used to read so many on the Tube. I'd read them. And now, lately, in the last couple of years, I just haven't. I listen to the occasional audiobook, and that's it. So I should get back into that, really.
I'm currently reading still. I've been reading it for a while, but it's a really good book. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
I've heard of that.
It's really good. It's really, really good. I enjoy it immensely.
My training for small business has got exactly one course that nobody seems to want to do.
Tim's training for small business. Are you going to run ads on Facebook at all or Instagram?
At the moment, I was thinking I might do some mini courses.
Okay.
Because the thing is, actually, Phrase Express is a really, really useful product for apparently social media people and for authors. It's just kind of describing it. So I think I have to do some kind of like promotional demonstration videos as to why it's so useful.
Would you like me to be on your video? I can be your student.
Well, if you want to, we could do it on StreamYard. Could do it live.
I'll be your
guinea pig.
Guinea pig, and whatever. I'll make it. I'll smile.
Yeah. Because I mean, what it's like. Because you can, it's just things like a lot of it is working out how to use it. And even I haven't worked out to use it properly. So things like having all the Twitter handles of people who are, so I set up all the Twitter handles because you can set up Phrase Express to type something in. It will show you a menu of options. So for like the conference speakers for Self-PubCon, I set up a list of the Twitter handles because otherwise you just end up, if you end up kind of looking the same stuff up and again and again and again and again and again, that's the sort of thing that's really good with something like Phrase Express. So you can just set it up as like websites, and so I've got like my affiliate links to various things on Phrase Express, and I can just go there and find them and paste them in, rather than having to go and say, what was my affiliate link to that, and go and find the website, paste it in and put it in. And I know people say you can have like swiped files of all this information, but it's not really the same as having it just being able to do it on the keyboard. So
questions to ask you, and then you can answer, and it'll be really exciting.
You can be an affiliate. And then there's TubeBuddy. I think that's on my...
Everyone go to TubeBuddy if you have a YouTube.
It's got a really good affiliate deal though. Not meaning to sound mercenary. It's a really good product. I mean, I'm not entirely sure what you get for the paid version, but I think it's a lot of good stuff. I think it's like you get, because apparently most of the affiliate, I was hearing like somebody recommended TubeBuddy's affiliate because they pay you every year that the person who you recommended is on TubeBuddy.
Oh, wow.
Most people just pay you like the first year or whatever.
Okay.
But TubeBuddy just keep paying you whatever the rate, 20% or whatever, all the time. So that's what you want if you're recommending things.
Oh, cool. Okay, so this coming Tuesday, we have a really cool guest coming on, and she's straight from the UK.
Ooh.
Hope. What is her Twitter handle? It's
Hope Virgo.
Hope Virgo from the UK. She has a story to tell. She's all over the media right now in your country, actually, and she was recommended by.
I've not heard of her. That doesn't mean that.
Listen, you know what's happening in America. I'm keeping in touch with the UK, but wait, I want to pull up her Twitter handle because one of my American Twitter friends suggested her, and then Hope did.
I saw that conversation. Yeah, I was kind of like.
So her Twitter handle says she's an author, a multi-award-winning mental health campaigner, founder of Dump the Scales. She's a public speaker. She's a member of Charter Speakers. She's a runner, and she is based out of London, England. It seems like she's done quite a few interviews with the BBC and different media throughout your nation. So she's coming on Tuesday. I'm excited. Her website is hopevirgo.com. So
can you do me a favor and ask her for a photo for the publicity?
Oh, yeah. I'll ask her for a photo for the broadcast. Dump the scales. So her hashtag is dump the scales. So she has a whole story about that. So I'm excited to bring her on. It's quite a serious story and a story of overcoming. So she'll be coming on Tuesday. It looks like it's the end.
It is the end. Well, the show. We've got people booked up until mid-November, I think.
Okay. Good.
We probably need to go on a booking spree.
Good.
Get a few more people up. So, yes. Well, it's been great to talk to everybody, and I'm going to press the outro button and try and remember what I have to do for the rest of the show.
Goodbye, farewell.
This is terrifying for me.
I've made more money in the last 3 years than I did in the previous 7.
Cliche shit, you know.